Well, it's Thursday, and that means it's time to get a take on the news from the left, right, and middle. And once again, from the left is Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist Karen Hunter, and from the right is Washington attorney Horace Cooper. Hello to you both.
Good evening.
Hey. Good evening.
Good evening to you. You know, of course, with all the news, particularly in the last 24 hours, President Barack Obama going to Texas. Was he going to meet with Rick Perry? Was he not? He finally did. They even did the photo op. But, of course, a lot of Republicans have criticized him and Democrats for not visiting the border while he was there. So that's where I want to start with. Did the president make a mistake by not going to the border during his visit to Texas? Karen, I'll start with you.
No, he did not. And as he pointed out, he's more interested in solving the problem than a photo op. He said, this is not theater. This is a problem. And what he did was ask Congress to put $3.7 billion into fixing the problem. What he did was meet with the governor to find out exactly what he needed, and he said everything that he asked for was very reasonable, and we're going to work to get him that. Going out there, this is not a hurricane. It's not a tornado. It's not a natural disaster. Yes, it is horrific what's going on there, but does he need to go there? Does he need to go to Africa to know that there's Ebola in certain places? Does he need to see it? No, he's been informed, and he's working to fix the problem. He said if you're going to use politics, it's not going to work. But if we're about solving the problem, let's do that.
Okay, so solving the problem is there's an upcoming election, and I got to make sure that my party gets all the funds that they need, and I'm not going to change my schedule, except to maybe accommodate a governor in one of the places where the problem is happening the most. Here's the truth. It is probably the optics that are going to harm him the most, even if I agreed with the way he wanted to spend $3.7 billion, looking as if he's not concerned about it is going to harm him. You are seeing people across the country, not just Marietta, but you're seeing them rise up in anger about how this is happening. And you're seeing Border Patrol agents say that they're not being allowed to tell how tragic the problem is. Members of Congress can't go to see the children and report on it. Reporters aren't being able to. It looks like the president isn't interested in letting the problem get addressed by getting his primary attention. So even if he sends a bill up in a way that I wouldn't, it isn't going to detract from the reality that's developing, that he's not handling it well. And as one Democrat congressman says, this may end up being his Katrina.
Well, let me just ask this question. Let me jump in here and ask this question because, Karen, you made the point at the very beginning of your statement that this is not a natural disaster. It's not a hurricane or a tornado. But if we will all remember, George W. Bush was highly criticized because it took him a while to go down and view the damage of Katrina.
Debbie.
I understand that, but there are also children and adults that are dying on this trek from Central America to the U.S.
Right.
So
are they Americans?
How is that they're human?
Oh. No.
How is this different for the president? Karen?
No. First of all, Katrina, there were so many people dying, so many minorities in particular, and he flew over with such a cavalier attitude. Good job, Brownie. We can all go through that. He mishandled this. This president is putting $3.7 billion into fixing the problem. He's not sitting there with his hands in his pockets saying, wow, this is a good job being done there. He says there's a problem. I know there's a problem. I've been informed about the problem. I don't need to go there to have a photo op for everyone to know that there's a problem. Let me fix the problem, and let's not make this into a political thing, which is what is being done. And Horace, you just said it's more of the optics, not what he's actually doing. It's the optics that will cause him a problem. So don't send me flowers. Love me every day. And that's what the president is doing.
Well, speaking of fixing the problem, of course, we've talked about, hold on, I want to move us forward with this, and you can get your point in with this part of it. The president has asked Congress to approve $3.7 billion. Both of you have already mentioned this. So my question to you is, even if the Congress approves this full amount, where is it best used? Horace, go ahead.
This amount isn't going to be, if the president gets his way, we're going to be misusing this money. The president, during Katrina, Mr. Bush, made a mistake in not appearing to care. In fact, he directed resources. In fact, he signed legislation to send funds, but it appeared that he wasn't paying the kind of attention that he needed to. And this is the problem that the president could have avoided by heading straight into this. Now, to say that because these minorities aren't Americans, that doesn't direct us to give the same kind of attention to it.
Well, there is a difference.
I think comes across as callous. The other point here is, if I were trying to spend these resources, I'd cut it in half, but I would send some of the funds to those countries to try to help them solve some of the reasons that cause these people to come. I would bolster the Border Patrol forces, and I would see to it that we change the law so that we minimize the likelihood that people think coming here is going to be the resolution to their problem.
The last thing is the only thing
That's
that you said that
comprehensive.
absolutely made sense, other than the callousness. But the callousness actually arises from the Republican Party. They've been callous on this issue all along. They've been mistreating people all along. Look, you have people bearing arms, shooting people as they're coming across.
Karen,
so there's a fundamental xenophobia that exists in that region, Karen, that we're not even talking about. At least this president is putting $3.7 billion into attacking the borders and making sure that they're being secured. And I absolutely agree with you on the last point that you made.
That's not what his bill does, but it's a good try to pretend that this border crisis is a reflection of either the Republican Party or the American people's views generally.
No, it's a reflection of our horrible laws. That's what it is.
The criticism that's going is that the president isn't showing the kind of attention. That isn't the kind of thing that you say. This problem didn't happen in
2008, Horace. This problem's been going on a very long time, especially under the president that you just mentioned, George Bush. So you're acting as if it just popped up. At least he's doing something to fix it. And you want to cut the money in half? Come on.
Karen, to say that the president announced this week that he wants to spend $3.7 billion is fixing it, is to then admit that for 6 years you've done nothing. I'm not suggesting that. What I am suggesting is a problem has become so severe, the crisis level has risen to such a degree that lots of people are paying attention to it. One way
sending babies across the border is a new thing,
is
right?
to go there.
Well, yeah, and just from my perch in the middle, I'll just bring the clarity that, yes, a lot of people are paying attention to this and taking note of this. However, there has been a noticeable and significant increase in minors coming across the border.
That's true, too. Yes.
So there has been a trend here. This is just not just about the media covering it more. This is escalating into an even bigger crisis.
Absolutely. And one of the ways that the president actually could use his pulpit is to go there, talk about it, raise the attention, and then use that attention as a way to galvanize the public to take action.
All right, Karen, I got 10 seconds. I'll give you the last word.
Listen, Obama's damned if he does and damned if he doesn't. And I think that what he is doing is actually attacking the problem. We don't need any more photo ops. I'm tired of them personally. Stop politicizing this and let's fix it.
All right, we'll leave it right there. Karen Hunter, Horace Cooper. It is always illuminating, entertaining, and educational. I know, I did. I'll keep it next week. That's going to do it. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you. Bye-bye.